This video will walk you through the steps of paying an owner-operator out of revenue settlements. It's similar to paying a carrier, but there's usually a few extra things such as maybe deductions, fuel, cash advances, things like that that you'll want to take into account. So you'll start by going to Revenue Settlements, and on this screen you're going to see a drop down here, and that's going to have all of the owner-operators that you have set up. And you'll start with the first one that you want to look at, so we'll start with this one. And I can see there's 2 trips here. That means there's 2 trips that have been billed from freight billing, but I have not settled up with yet. If you want to see the detail for those trips to make sure it's correct, you can double click on it or come down and hit the update button. So I can tell on this trip it was billed for $1,000 and he's getting 88% of the revenue. So he's getting paid $880 for this trip. I'm going to hit done. And we'll take a look at the next one. This trip has an additional line that was on the revenue screen for fuel surcharge. And the way this owner-operator is set up, he's set up to get 88%. So it came across the fuel surcharge at 88%. That more than likely is going to be 100%. So you can click your mouse there, type 100 where the 88 is, and change that to 100%. There is a way to set that up as a default, so all of the fuel surcharges go into revenue settlements at 100%. That would be in the billing methods video if you want to jot that down. So you can make any changes you need to on this screen. This portion that says Due Company, this would be anything they may owe you for, or you may need to reimburse them for. For example, if you purchased licenses or permits for them and you need to bill them for it, you would come down here and we'll do Add a New Revenue Settlement Deduction Detail. And I can type in my description of whatever it is I'm collecting from them. Unit 1, rate will be how much I paid. And then the key thing here is going to be the GL account. So if I double click there and scroll down to my expenses, so I originally expensed his licenses and fees to my license, permits, and fees account, which is 6010. So now that I'm collecting that back from him, I'm going to hit that same account again to pull that expense out because it's no longer my expense. There is a way to set up standard deductions for each owner-operator, and you would use this button, Retrieve Standard Deduction. That is a separate video called Standard Deductions under Revenue Settlements if you'd like to take a look at that. But the other thing I would like to focus in on this page is where it says Advances from this trip, and I see $432.41. If I double click on that, I can tell that that was a fuel purchase, and it'll give me the information of where it was purchased, and if there was any cash advances, those would be listed here as well. So it's going to collect that back from him when I settle up with him. So I would hit done. Once you've gone through all the trips, you would hit exit. The next step is going to be to post those trips. So you'll click on Post RS. And you can leave everything on this screen, but what I like to do is focus on the one that I was working on. So I'll do Specific Lesser ID, choose that, hit Match. So now I can see just the trips for that ID. And I'm going to go ahead and do Select All. So I'm going to select all of them. You can unselect things if you need to. And I'm going to hit Post to GL. And do I want to continue? Yes. 2 transactions posted successfully. So what that has done, it's posted to my purchase transportation account, saying for expense account, and it's also saying I owe the owner-operator for those trips. So the final step will be to actually issue the check. So next you'd click on Select Invoices to Pay. Everything that you posted over will be listed in here. Usually people treat this kind of like they're printing a batch of checks. So you would post everyone over. Once you were done and they were all sitting in here, then you would go ahead and print your checks. So I'm going to do Select All. I'm going to hit Prepare to Print Checks. And it will calculate, depending on how many that you have in there, each person's total. So you can see what the check amounts are going to be. You put in your starting check number, and then go ahead and hit Write Checks. This is a preview of the check stub. I'll hit Print Checks. And then it comes up and I'll choose Check Printed Successfully, and I will post the posting successfully. Once you've printed the check, what you'll want to do is print a settlement to give them with the check, which is going to show them all the detail for what they're getting paid for. Any fuel, cash advances, everything like that is in a nice report format. So under check writing, you'll go to Print Revenue Settlement, and you'll want to mark the payment date as the date that you just got done paying them. Hit Match, and it would show everyone that you paid. And we're going to go ahead and just print this $13.71. So you can see I have another one in here, so I'm going to do Specific Lesser ID. Whoops, $13.71. I'll hit Match and Print Settlement. And this is an example of what that settlement will look like. You'll have your driver information here where they can see what they were getting paid for. You can see here's that fuel surcharge. Here's that license deduction that we did. And here's a fuel purchase that was on there. And if they scroll down to the bottom, it'll include the check number that you paid them with and the date. There's also mileage information and stuff on the bottom as well. So you can print that, or you can create a PDF to give to them. And that is how you would pay an owner-operator in TruckWin.